Now on Best Practices in Corporate Social Responsibility, we're joined by Nick Aster, who's the founder and publisher of Triple Pundit, which has some of the most read websites on responsible business. And he's a new media architect specializing in using online technology to advance conversations on sustainability. Please welcome to Best Practices in CSR, Nick Aster. Nick, welcome to the show. Pleasure to have you on board. We've spoken a lot on the phone, but never on an interview.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, so from what I understand, Nick, Triple Pundit is essentially a media platform that's dedicated to the conversation of sustainable business. And it's pushed out in a variety of organic ways to a vast audience of socially conscious, concerned people, correct?
Yeah, that's the idea.
All right. What changes are you seeing right now in both the generation of CSR-related news and sustainable-related news and the media platforms that are available for that dispersal?
You know, I think that the number one thing that I've noticed is just the sheer volume of it. It seems like this whole idea of CSR and sustainability in general has really finally started to catch in terms of mainstream recognition. So just about every company out there is at least paying lip service to it, which is great. And as far as media goes, it's also finally starting to catch in mainstream media as well. You know, we used to be one of a few niche players talking about this stuff, and now you can't pick up the Wall Street Journal or Forbes or the New York Times without at least a few stories that you might categorize as CSR related.
Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of different RSS feeds, and I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm on different groups, and it seems like a ton of companies are putting out good news about their CSR efforts on a daily basis. Do you think there's such a thing as too much good news, and are we flooding the market and risking alienating viewers, readers, web surfers, et cetera?
Well, I never thought I'd say it, but possibly, but only to a point. This is still something that they're relatively new to, so companies may be putting out news that might be a little bit trivial. I think the worst thing that can happen with that is folks kind of ignore it, and it could add to a little bit of fatigue. But I think that if that really becomes a problem, it'll be a good problem to have. The thing that we really want to be mindful of is stuff that's a distraction, stories that really have very little to do with the core business in question. You know, a nice volunteer project in the park is great, but what I really want to know about is how is this affecting the actual operations of that company in a truly more sustainable direction. Mm-hmm. And those are the kind of stories that are ultimately going to attract a lot more attention and ultimately are the kind of things that really come back to affecting the company in a positive way, including the bottom line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the message really has to resonate or it comes off as false.
Sure.
In this instance. What do you think socially is driving this growth of CSR?
Socially is an interesting question. I think there's a lot of different drivers, and popular pressure and a general societal pressure is definitely part of it. Consumers are somewhat fed up with greenwashing. They're looking for healthier products. They're looking for companies to have a more ethical commitment to their stakeholders, and by stakeholders we talk about not just customers, but people in the community, employees, and so on. There's definitely a driving pressure there. There's also a bit of pressure coming from Wall Street in terms of folks being generally a little bit concerned about the antics that have taken place in Wall Street in the last 10 or 15 years. And then, of course, there's government pressure as well. And the ever-present threat of increasing regulations is something that is also driving folks.
Gotcha. Well, Nick, that's about it for today, and I want to thank you for joining us on the program. It's been, as usual, pretty informative.
Great. Thanks, Mark.
That was Nick Aster, founder and publisher of Triple Pundit.